So the craziest thing about that, and I speak about this often, is the lack of transparency when it comes to autism. It
Mm,
it baffles me because we're in an age where we could talk about anything sexual that we want to
mm,
without any type of taboo moments. But when it comes down to autism or an intellectual disability, is don't say nothing.
yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my show. I am your host, Jessica T. Moore, and today I have a very special guest that's going to be coming in and joining me. So I'm not going to give y'all too much information, but what I am going to say is I was just like randomly scrolling through Instagram one day and I came across one of his interviews that they were on live, and when I heard his story, y'all, I was like, it's no way that I'm not going to ask him to come onto my show. He just has so much knowledge from being a autism dad, as well as being a service provider in the field. And y'all know that's my jam because same thing with me. So I was like, yes, I want to bring him here. He's an author. He is also a nonprofit leader. He does a lot within the community. He has his own show. And I just feel like he is a really good example of what it means to be an empowered parent. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Jamiel Owens. Hi.
How you doing? You got me blushing in the backstage room. I'm sitting there. Okay, I guess that's me. All right, that's fine.
Yes, you are definitely awesome, which is, I know that's the name of your show, and we're gonna get into all of that. So, I briefly didn't really do too much of an introduction because I do like for people to come on and really say who they are and what they do in the world. So, could you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do in the world?
All right. So my name is Jamiel Owens. You see my shirt here. I am the family relations coordinator at the Center for Autism Research at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. That's very long. That is what I do professionally. Personally, I'm an autism father who started a successful platform called The Ausome Show back in 2014. So it has been a decade that I've been doing this type of advocacy work. That platform launched off because I didn't see fathers really engaging in this space of advocacy work. I know there are men that are doing it, but actual fathers like really doing the work and engaging. A lot of it was narrowed in on the Black and brown community, but now since I've been doing this for a decade, I've experienced a vast need of male representation within this space from all ethnic backgrounds. As my mission is towards the Black and brown community, my community who I love, it's also towards male engagement all across the world. So I've worked with plenty of organizations, what I like to call mom and pop organizations, like basic local advocacy organizations. I've worked with big companies, doctors, researchers, everything you name it, I have. Now I get to do that plus my professional career. So now I'm engaged into it. I'm an author. I got 7 books, nothing too crazy, just 7 books out there on Amazon.com. You can go check those out. And yeah, a volunteer firefighter. I used to be corrections, so I do have law enforcement background. Yeah, so that's really nutshell to me, husband. That's it. I hate talking about myself because it's so much. And then when I listen to myself, if it sounds like I'm bragging, and I don't mean to brag. So please, nobody take that as bragging. I'm just letting you know why you're listening to me today. Why? What makes me qualified to sit there and talk to you guys?
So it's definitely not bragging, it is inspiring. That's what I like to believe. So definitely we're going to get into all of that today. So I like to ask all the questions because like I said, I'm working every day with children and families that are in that beginning phase of my kid just got diagnosed. Now what? And I honestly like I feel like you are one of the best examples of this is what to do now. You know what I'm saying? Taking that and turning that pain into your purpose and everything. So the first thing that I wanted to kind of understand is Which one came first? Did your child get diagnosed first, or were you already a service provider in the field of autism?
So it was really my son's diagnosis came first.
Okay.
And even after that, it was years. Like I literally been in this job going on through 3 years now,
Oh,
total.
okay.
4 years total in the organization because I was working in security prior to that. So it was the diagnosis and then years in between, which is the wilderness, I like to call it.
So, how old was your son? Your son is 16 years old now, right?
He's a grown man. I just got finished picking him up today. Yeah, he's 16. I can't believe it. Beard, voice all changed. It's crazy.
I can't even imagine. My
Yeah.
son is, I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old son. So my daughter just turned 13 and is, woo, yeah. So 16, I can't even imagine.
It's going to, trust me, before right out the window, it's just going to disappear. I'm like, where did time go? And
Yeah.
now I have a 2-year-old and he's just getting bigger every day before my eyes. It is what it is.
So how old was your son when he was diagnosed?
He was age 3.
Okay. So what led, because it sounded like you caught it really early.
Mhm.
Because 3 is when early intervention starts. So how did you even get to that point? Take us back to getting the actual diagnosis and then finding out. Like, how did you know at 3 years old to even take him to be evaluated?
It was weird because me and his mother, who we were married at that time, we were going through our ups and downs in our marriage. And at that particular time, I became isolated within myself because of outside issues besides of the marriage that I, as a man, didn't have the ability to deal with yet. And being around my son, I started to notice more and more some behaviors that were like it was new to me because he was my first child,
Mm-hmm.
but something was just like this is not right. I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know like kids shouldn't be playing like this or they shouldn't be interacting like this. And one I can tell you my redefining moment about this was one day me and his mother was the one passing by. She was working day shift. I worked overnight and I was coming home and I was tired. And for some reason we didn't have a babysitter that day. So I was like, okay. So he was playing and he was on the sun porch and he was playing with his trains. And Shane would actually line his train up to the exact measurement of the edge of that table, like to the exact measurement. And I came in and I wanted him to get out of the sun porch because I was getting tired. So I wanted to possibly see if I could lay down with him. And I wasn't nice about it. I was rude or ignorant. And during that process, his trains fell, and he had this full blown meltdown that
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen before. And I'm like, what is going on? And he tried to frantically get back up to put the trains up. And I remember this, and I don't say this, I say this hurt, but I'm processing this now. And I asked and talked to Shane about forgiveness, but I pushed him when he was actually getting back up to do it because I was so frustrated and seeing him frustrated, but I knew that it didn't make sense. His frustration didn't make sense to me. Like, why are you frustrated
Yeah.
over trains being exactly the same way? And I quickly ran into the entranceway to the living room and I started crying. And that's when I knew
Mm-hmm.
it was something going on with my son because for me to start like crying in like utter disbelief or despair because I didn't know what was going on, I knew it was something that I had to bring to the attention of his mother. And when I did later on that evening, she admitted that she did see some things too that were questionable, and that's when we decided to make a appointment for an evaluation.
Okay. And then was he verbal at the time or nonverbal? What were some of his?
Shane was half and half. So it's weird because in this particular space, in this profession, you normally see either one or the other. It's not okay sometimes, but Shane was like half and half. Sometimes he would try to guide you to what he wants, and then other times he would just come out and say it. So it was half, and today he's fully verbal. He talks, but yeah, and during that time, it was a perplexing time to understand his diagnosis and understand who he was.
So when you actually did you know anybody prior to, okay, so you didn't. So okay, so how was that experience? Because I know, like, for me,
Mhm.
when I found out that my son was diagnosed with autism, it was like I knew that autism exists, of course, because a lot of things exist, but it wasn't relevant to my life. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, like a ton of bricks just falling on me. And it was just like life was really lifing. So how was that experience with just actually getting that diagnosis?
So the craziest thing about that, and I speak about this often, is the lack of transparency when it comes to autism. It
Mm,
it baffles me because we're in an age where we could talk about anything sexual that we want to
mm,
without any type of taboo moments. But when it comes down to autism or an intellectual disability, it's don't say nothing.
yeah.
So it's really perplexing to me to actually see this right now when we should be actually saying, talking up, speaking up about things like this, early intervention, early detection, things of that nature, to be able to support the community. it I didn't have anybody. I didn't even know what autism was. Like, to me, through a lack of, and I want to call it, I definitely want to pinpoint ignorance, is I thought it was a disease or something. I didn't know exactly what it was. So when I received the diagnosis, there was nothing further that me and his mom actually received. It was just like, this is what you have. Here's the paperwork. Good luck. And that was it. You,
Yeah, that was
you know,
my
that
experience.
was it. So, you know, now we have, as far as the medical profession, some of us have gotten a lot better with revealing this information to parents and being more of a support navigator to giving that paperwork, and a lot of us haven't. My organization, who I work for, CHOP, they are very good on that. We are working hard to keep our doctors engaged and less focused on wearing the white coat, but being a person outside of that. I'm happy about that. I'm happy about the organization that I work for. But today, in this day, it's 2024, we are still having families that are basically left to fend for themselves or try to navigate the system without understanding exactly what autism is
Yeah.
and what they actually would be able to provide for their child right
Mhm.
now through assistance, and what is the next steps, what they should be looking for as far as those services are going. For me, I fell into that. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any support system. His mother engaged more with finding out. She was dropped on a ball. Me, as a man, it was like a ton of bricks hit me because I felt like I failed as producing what society tends to see as a normal child. And as men, we want to produce children, our offspring, to be normal, to be successful individuals in the future. The problem is that we're judging the word success, which was basically made from an imperfect person. We're judging our life, which we are imperfect, on that notion of another imperfect person. So really, what is success? So it, for me, it was detrimental. For my wife at the time, it was an eye opener for her to do and pursue everything possible for our son Shane, and she did that. While I just stood back and just said, "Oh, why God? Why me? This is not fair. I should have a child that's normal. I don't want this child. I want to do something else. I want to have another child with someone else." All of those things came into my mind and out my mouth, literally. So
Mhm.
that's where I was at.
So can you talk? I know you mentioned like your marriage.
Mhm.
You said that a couple times. So y'all at this point, y'all are not married anymore.
No, I'm remarried, but no, we're not married anymore.
Okay, so how did that? Because I have families, and I want to ask two questions. I want to ask about the marriage now and how it played into that, but also your previous marriage. How did the diagnosis like affect your marriage?
Oh, drastically. So the first thing that I think we forget, or we tend to forget, is depending on, and I want to give a handicap on, depending on how long you've been married before this child comes into your life with special needs. If you're fresh, new, 1, 2, 3 years into marriage, and then you have a child, your first child together, and it happens to be, you happen to be blessed with a child with special needs, and we'll get into the reason why I say blessed. it's a really rough time because everything is incumbent on the satisfaction of each other
Mhm.
versus what it's supposed to be. And people who's been married long term will know this, is that it's supposed to be a giving
Mhm.
relationship. It's supposed to be a servitude. So the first thing that I received when my son was getting that diagnosis was nasty situation, a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want that. I don't want that gift. I couldn't see that gift. So I pushed back. And his mother was receiving that pushback, but she wasn't receiving no pour into her. She wasn't receiving any reassurance. When you're in a marriage and you're faced with the difficulty, because it is difficult, of raising a child with special needs, it needs to be a very much team aspect. And it
Mhm.
needs to be like that, period. But it needs to be a team aspect where both mom and dad sit down and evaluate the expectations and the requirements of both of them being engaged into this marriage and now into this diagnosis. It can't be mom going to the appointments all the time. It can't be
Yeah.
dad going to the appointments all the time. It can't be mom looking for services or going to IEP meetings. It must be both of the parents.
Yeah.
A level of communication has to be heightened at this time. So words that inflict pain, period. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you are a person that actually speaks hateful words or innotations out in the heat of moment, you need to work on that now, because these are the things that if you remove them and you start to work in a positive manner to communicate with your partner, can mean the difference between life and death in your marriage,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about services or even your frustrations and your how your child is being treated, or maybe just the unknown, not knowing why you have a child like that. You can
Yeah.
have an emotional frustration, and that can come out the wrong way that will physically destroy your partner and even your child as well too, if they hear it and understand it. Communication, team building is a must. You both must understand that it's not about you anymore. As soon as she becomes pregnant, it is not about you anymore. It is about this child. So everything that you do must correlate to the positive outcome of that child. That
Mhm.
means, as a man, and there's a lot of men out here that won't understand this right now because they're not men, they're just boy men or boy childs. But you have to understand that your household now is incumbent upon the choices that you make out in
Mhm.
society, which is a reflection of your household. So you must make those choices wisely. You must make sure that you are looking at the best interest of your household, which includes your wife and your child or children, and then also to your community in which you live at. That's a big responsibility. So
Mhm.
that means that you actually have to sit down and you have to communicate and you have to listen to on what some of those assumptions or those some of those expectations may be from your partner and gauge them realistically.
Wow, that was a really good explanation. I have a lot of questions. I'm trying to make sure because you said a lot.
Okay.
So one question I want to ask is how do you balance that with a new relationship then? Like so take me into I'm gonna ask that one first.
Okay.
So yeah, so tell me, yeah, let's talk about that first.
Um, so it's a lot. There is a mutual respect upon all parties. So Shane's mom has a boyfriend. They've been living together for some time now. Me and him have a good relationship. Often in times where me and her don't have a great relationship. And what I mean by her, I'm speaking about Shane's mom. So that's always a plus. I've come to the point in my life where I'm tired of being angry for no reason. And I've been this way for so long that even on an off day where she can throw fire to me, I push it away.
Mhm.
And I just know there's still some type of retribution there for what we've been through in our past marriage. But all in all, we are on the same team and the same path as far as the growth and development of Shane. So now being remarried and also now having a new child, nothing's really changed as far as the dynamic. The understanding of my purpose and my role and responsibility is more on me because my wife now understands that I have a teenager soon about to approach this world and looking at it in a different lens. So I'm doing life with her and this baby who right now is neurotypical. We don't have any reason to believe that our new child is neurodiverse, but my focus is to get my teenager up and running and self-sufficient enough in this world, whereas though I know when my day comes where I can leave, I won't be scared or I won't be terrified about what's going on. So she's very supportive of things. Like, give you an example, me and him will be going away to Virginia because he loves trains. Shane loves trains, so we're going to a train museum in Virginia. So I'll be going for 3 days. So it will just be me and him, and we're out. We're just going, and it's just us bonding together. Things that I did not get an opportunity to do in the early parts of his life and his years because I was trying to figure out what life was myself. So it's important to have that support system if you are co-parenting. And it's very hard for us men who are single. And the reason why is because we're trying to get to that pinnacle, that height. We're trying to find that partner in our lives. But we forget once again that we're looking for a partner, but the partner has to date both of us, both me and my child. So if you're not willing to understand what autism is as ability, some people will say, and it is, then you're not the right one for me. And I don't care how you look, you're just not the right one for me. Or if you're not in a position where you can be cordial and nice to my child's mother, even though me and her have some back and forth going on in the present time, then you can't really be there beside me either. So I've been blessed to be able to have that support system, whereas though I don't feel like I have to choose between my oldest and then my family.
I love it. That gave us a lot of insight into your personal journey
Mhm.
with autism. And I know you also said that now you actually support other fathers that have children who may have been wherever they are in their journey of being diagnosed. So what is that? Can you talk a little bit about what you do to support fathers?
So my platform is the Awesome Show is geared more towards men. Just looking at the statistics, the analytics, it's about what was it? It was 100% female. No, listen, no, it was about 73 point something percent female, and then it was a small percentage of men. So regardless of anything, I'm happy because women are trying to understand the male psyche when it comes down to this, trying to understand their partners. But other than that, I am a first person type of person, if that makes sense. Whereas though I give out my contact information for any father, doesn't matter if I don't know you or meet you, you can give me a call and be like, hey, I got your information for such and such. You have time to talk? Sure do. What's going on? And we chop it up about what is bothering you or where you're at in your journey and how I can actually try to help you not fall off that cliff, whether it be losing your marriage, whether it be you as a father walking away from your child because it's just too much for you to handle. Whether you are a single father raising your child and you're like, I don't know what to do, I'm barely holding on, mental health checks, whatever it may be, men are able to communicate and call me anytime and we can talk about what they need. And I could be a shoulder and a ear to listen to, but also too, to give them examples of my life so they can try to understand some of the pitfalls that I went in and try to avoid those pitfalls. That's one. The other thing that I do professionally is I try to make engaging events happen for my male audience, my core audience, which is fathers. And that is what they get example of the Autism Fathers Conference. I did the first Autism Fathers Conference ever in the tri-state area, Philadelphia tri-state area, last year, April 6th. And we had, thank you. We had 91 dads there.
Oh,
91.
my goodness.
91. Now, it was a total attendance of 115 at the last minute because we were getting so many requests. We did make a open space for those who don't consider themselves male caregivers. So there was autism moms there, grandmas, those who don't identify as male, who had a safe space to decompress as well. And the core of this conference is I had over 60 resource tables. I filled the entire gym full of organizations. So dads were able to walk out of there with information that they were able to give to their partners or either seek themselves and start finding resources for their children. But we also too had support group sessions where we broke these 91 men and also the women. The women were in one particular class just for women and non-male caregivers, and then the men were into several other classes, and they were actually being supported by licensed psychologists and also by some other autism fathers that been in support groups previously before. So now it wasn't just your run of a mill, listen to somebody and their story. It was more like, let's hear your story and let's see how we can actually help you. I'm happy that I'm planning the second one this year, which I'm hoping to keep on planning this. And every single year, it's going to be even more impactful. But those are the type of things that I wish I had. So since I didn't have them, it doesn't mean that you don't have to have them. So I'm trying to make sure that they are put out there in society so we can make it work.
And then when is this event? When does it take place?
Our new one, our new Autism Fathers Conference will be April 5th, 2025. And that will be in the suburbs, which is considered Delaware County in Pennsylvania. If we had a father travel all the way from Chicago, so there's no need. If you can make it, you can listen. If you really want that support, take on a trip down to Philly. Afterwards, get some cheesesteaks, relax, and chill out. But we are as well. So that is something that I'm bringing to the table and trying to work out. So even if you can't be there, we might have an opportunity to make this virtual at a later date and now invite men from all across the country, all across the world to be impacted by this event. So keep my fingers crossed that I can pull this off, and that will be another pinnacle of my career.
You're going to have to bring it to Atlanta too.
Listen, I'm down. Listen, I've been to Atlanta one time. I went to Croc Street Bridge. And this is when my son, he was like a little baby, and they had a piano there. It was piano for the people, and you could go up and play piano. And I did the piano with my son. I had the video and everything, but me and my wife were down there just for a little bit. But yeah, I would love to come down to Atlanta to bring the Autism Fathers Conference. I just need a place. I just need a place, an organization, a place to hold it, and then we can make that happen. But it's important. It's needed everywhere, and it's not to downplay the mothers who've been trailblazers and making a way, but we need the fathers to be engaged as well.
Yes, I love it. I had a question. It was about something that you had said, and I was like, don't forget, I was holding it. It's okay. It's going to come back.
Okay.
So just also, I wanted to talk about your nonprofit. No, I got the question.
Okay.
The question was as far as your support, do you do any kind of group support, or is it all one-on-one? Like, how does that?
I do one-on-one right now because I have some amazing mentors who are autism fathers and also professionals that have men groups themselves. Okay. So I didn't want to like reinvent the wheel if what you're already doing is working. So I could definitely suggest men to different men support groups that I know of, but I just personally just do the one-on-one because if you want like a different type flavor, other than being in a group with other men and you want to speak to somebody one-on-one and get that more personal, interpersonal connection, then you could give me a call. But if you're looking for like a group support, I can definitely put you on board with one of the groups that I work with.
And how do they sign up for that? Like, how can they, don't be saying that because I got 100 clients right now under my company. What do these men need to do? Because I know a few fathers on my caseload right now that could use your help.
Listen, all you have to do is email me, or you can call me on my cell. I can give that number out. Email, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Hit me up. And it just because I'm not in Atlanta, it doesn't mean the support is not the same.
Yes.
So a lot of people think, oh, you don't live down here. Yeah, I don't live down here, but I guarantee you, once you hear my story, you'll see the similarity in my story and what you're going through, and you'll be like, wow, I didn't even know you were going through that up there. I thought it was no, it's not. It's the same. And it's just a different path, but it's the same basis. Yeah, that's what I do. So either way, either email or a telephone.
Yeah, I have a dad in mind right now that's like really, and that's why I was even asking the questions about marriage. Like they have a son who is 5 that was diagnosed, but then he has a son that's about to be 3 that's possibly going to be diagnosed as well. And so with that, it's just that be the main thing. Like with my families, what do we do? Because now it's like, how am I supposed to work? We don't have childcare; it's too expensive. And then me and my
You know
wife.
what it sounds like? You know what it sounds like to me, Jessica? It sounds like you need to put a nice little summit together down there, and I need to just fly on down there and be a part of that summit with some
Let me tell you,
other experts.
I did an event before.
Okay.
But this was for my brand with Embracing Perfection's little book back there.
Okay.
But with this one, we're gonna have to talk offline because I just need to figure out the logistics of it because I do want to do Empowered Parenting Live. So we'll talk about that. But
Yeah,
so
talk offline about
yeah, but I do have like just some fathers that I definitely want. I'm adding you to my resource list.
Okay.
And I'm definitely going to connect you with them because that's the main thing. As a man, how do I financially provide while being emotionally available to handle the new diagnosis as well as balancing my wife too? So that's why I wanted to ask about that. So as far as your nonprofit, Ausomeness Inc.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what that is.
So, Awesomeness Incorporated, I started to. So, let me backtrack. So, with the Awesome Show, another reason why I got the position, my professional position, was I was out at these community events, tabling when nobody knew who I was, telling my story, engaging with families, giving out resources from other organizations. I was doing that already. A lot of people want to support me. So they're like, how can I support you? And I don't want to sound like I'm some shiesty dude or something. So, oh, you can give me money and then you don't see where the benefits are going. So I was like, okay, I need to start a nonprofit, but also too, what the nonprofit is going to be. So Awesomeness Incorporated was a way to help my position in the market with the Awesome Show, but also too, it's the birth of the platform, which will be awesomeness.incorporated.com or .org. I have to figure out which one to go to first right now. It's an online portal. So what this portal will be is it's national, and any parent or provider, anybody can basically send an email, say, hey, there's this service or organization, or if you are a representative like yourself, be like, hey, we would like to be on your listserv. We will vet you, and as long as you're clear, you don't have any bad like reviews not coming up in the newspaper, you'll be on our listserv. That's the key thing about it, is by the people for the people. So it's not me going to another site, taking all of their information, throwing it on my site and be like, oh, these are all up-to-date organizations. It's, hey, you can suggest an organization. I'll sit down, I'll vet them, and then we'll throw it on the organization. But also, too, you'll have blog posts that any parent can be able to submit their blog posts. And as long as it's something that doesn't offend anybody or discriminate any particular persons, that will be allowed to be up. Also, to organizations that are looking for more visibility in the market, you'll be able to advertise with us as well. One of the key things about this is once I actually get this up, which hopefully will be in October, is that I will employ those individuals who are neurodiverse. So about good 70 to 80% of my staff will be those individuals who are neurodiverse, because you can't be out here trying to advocate for them and you have no idea of who these people are as individuals. So I want their talents to be implemented into Awesomeness Incorporated. Yeah, that's really what it's for. It's a place where community is built. So hopefully everything goes well. You'll see more of Awesomeness Incorporated in every market and working together with other organizations.
Come on now. We're going to get these dads together, okay? I love it. I love everything that you're doing. I just want to take a minute real quick before I get on to my next question and commend you because it's not easy. This is like y'all listening, it is not easy work to actually balance being in it and going out and advocating for other people so that they don't have to go through the things that you went through. So I just wanted to commend you and just say you're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. My next question for you, your book. So you have authored, you said 7 books and co-authored some books. And then
Yeah.
you have a book called Life is a Puzzle. God gave you the cheat sheet.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about your journey as an author.
Okay, crazy. It's crazy. So this book, my first book, I was working a job that I did not. Shout out to everybody working food delivery. If you deliver food in this country, if I see you, I owe you a beer, whatever you want, I got you because that job was literally beating me up every single day. And but it was a great paying job. So it was I was able to provide, but it was physically tearing me down.
Mm,
So I just kept on getting this pull in my heart where I was like, I need to be doing something different. So I'm just sitting there, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? And then literally don't get it confused. There's some men out there be like, yeah, God told me to quit my job. No, God didn't. You did, and you want to blame it on God. But literally in this case, God was like, yeah, you need to stop and you need to write this book.
mm,
And I was like, a book? I'm not an author. Write the book. I quit. I didn't tell my wife. I just sat there and was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I finished out my shift for the week and then I was out. And of course, she was mad, but I was like, listen, I got to do this thing. I promise I will get a job as soon as I do this thing. So for that 1 week, so my book took me 1 week to write,
mm.
1 week to get it edited and produced. So 2 weeks total. That first week I sat down, I woke up every day like I was working 9 to 5. I woke up and was just focused on my book. Literally started Monday, and by Friday, I told my wife I'm done. And she's, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm done my book. And she's, are you serious? And she read it and she was like, I can't believe you did this in 1 week. And I was like, this is what it is. Got it published, self-published it on Amazon, put
Mm.
it up 2 weeks, and it was out. And then that's the remarkable thing. Chop called me for a security position from an application I put in 2019. So oldest application I have, I forgot about it. They called me on, was like, yeah, do you want a job? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I want a job. So that was my first book. And then 2 years ago, I just kept on putting out books after books.
Mm.
I'm writing them like they were nothing. This one too. This is another one. I don't know if you guys can see. This is my first children's book. It's called "What Daddy Wants You to Know." It's interactive. Also, too, the good thing about it is that in the back of it, it has a section that daddy and child can actually journal in here. It says, "What have you taught you about life, love, and humility?" But and then for my Black and Brown community, it is all Black and brown characters that are inside the book. So this is another one of my books that I was very proud about. But yeah, make some things happen. That was it. Those are my books. I have books on IEP meetings, what you need to know as a father going into IEP meetings. I have other books. I have a journal that is strictly a journal for men to write their interpersonal feelings in reference to that. I have that type of book available. I have a coloring book because coloring is a great therapeutic service for families and individuals as well, to parents as well. So I have that. So they're all on Amazon. Everything is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble too, barnesandnoble.com.
So all of the books are geared towards. Hold on, it's going out. Wait, hold on, real quick. Oh no, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Wait. All right, we gonna get through these technical difficulties.
All
Uh-oh.
oh,
Okay. Can you hear me now?
all right. Let's wait. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear
No.
you.
Okay, so I can hear you now. I cannot see you anymore. You're frozen, and I can barely hear you. Okay, what about now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Now I can hear you. And I can,
Okay, so
okay, there you go.
okay, all right, we back. So I was asking if all of your books are for autism families, all the ones that.
All of them are autism for autism families. Yes,
Okay.
it's father based, it's male engaged,
Mhm.
but I have autism moms. I have one autism mom, not to put her business out there, but she follows me on my Instagram page, and she saw it live. She bought the book. Her child's father is actually incarcerated, and
Mhm.
she bought the book to send to him in jail. So
Wow.
it's like she read it first, and now she's sending it to him in jail. So it's for everybody. My books are for everybody to get a great perspective on this journey and how it may affect them.
Mhm. Okay, I don't want this thing. Okay, it has started. It almost went out, and we good now. Okay, so we gonna keep it pushing. So my next question is CHOP, which you said that's the Children's. You said it's called Children's Healthcare of Philadelphia, right?
Children's Hospital, Philadelphia. Yep.
Okay, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and you are a family relations coordinator. What
Yep.
is a family relations coordinator?
So what they would do, because my computer was about to die on me, I saved it, but we're back now. We're good. So everything that I have done solo is what I'm doing now professionally. So I am in charge of the outreach, not in charge. Let me take that back because my boss will sit there and be like, what are you doing? That's my goal, is to be in charge of the outreach department. But I work in the outreach department with two other individuals, and we are tasked with going out into communities to educate, to empower, to listen, but also to bring the resources to the communities. I do a lot of things outside of the realm of my job scope. I was down in Texas. I'm from Texas, but I was down in Texas presenting at a conference
Mhm.
about interactions with law enforcement and those who are on the spectrum, which I've implemented some town halls here in the tri-state area. I did three with three different police law enforcement agencies already. I'm about to do two more within this year, but we're able to go and speak to community. We're going to speak to organizations such as yours. If they give us a call, say, hey, do you have anybody that can do professional development? Yes, we do. We provide that service as well too. I do everything under the sun, anything that I possibly can. I got my hands in to try to help out the community.
Wow. Okay. And then this is at the Autism Research Center too. That's
Yes.
it. Okay. Yeah. So y'all, he know what he's talking about. So as a professional and as a parent. So my next question for you, you mentioned at the beginning of the interview something about parents and what they need to know like in the beginning phases.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Because we didn't actually, I wanted to ask you once we got more into your professional roles and everything. What is it? How do you help parents like when they first get a diagnosis and it's certain things that they need to understand and know? What are those things?
So I take a different approach than what most people probably would do. And of course, the train will probably pass by my house. So if you hear a train, please excuse me. Um, I tell the parent the first thing I want the parents to do is to breathe. I want them to understand that this is a long journey. This is
Mhm.
a long game. This doesn't let up. It doesn't stop. And that's with childhood, period. That's what having a child, it's a constant roller coaster ride. It's constant grinding to make sure that they're okay. Now you have a child with special needs. It's only 10 times heightened
Mhm.
because after they breathe, I want them to understand that it's neither one of your fault. So it's neither dad or mom's fault. Nobody, get that out of the question. Don't even look into the family history to try to find it out. It's nobody's fault. And the third and most important thing that I leave families with is this child is a blessing. I can only speak for myself, but when I look back at my life and where I was headed to a path of destruction, very much so, Shane literally saved my life from that because I had to first break down of everything that I knew because I raised myself since the age of 16. So my heart was as cold as you could possibly be. And I thought I was doing everything right, that I'm the alpha male and everybody would suffer. I used who I wanted to use just to get to the position where I was at. just to come out and find out that my child needed more of my heart than
Mm,
what I was able to give them at that time. So I had to break the callousness around my heart in order to really connect with my son. And then that led me to connect with other people and start to be an advocate for more people. So if
mm,
I imagine plenty of times if I never would have done that, yes, I would have probably been in a life of crime. I was doing crime before. I would have probably may have ended up dead because of the situations that I've been in previously before. I don't know. But what I do know is that once I sat there and realized how much Shane was of a blessing in my life, I
mm,
started to really unpack how many times I was saved in my even in my entire life from
mm,
going down the wrong direction. And now I'm giving the opportunity to change my life with someone watching how
mm.
I actually changed my life. So those are the three things I tell parents. I don't be like, oh, you got to look at ABA, OT, all that. I don't go through all that first
Mm,
because you could go online and find all that information. I give them the more emotional support that they actually need. Hey, listen, your best friend, even your best friend of 12 years might not even tell you like this is going to be a crazy ride. You're
yeah,
going through a lot of ups and downs because they want to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be tough.
yeah,
It's going to be tough. If you get into the court system, it's going to be 10 times, no, 20 times tougher. I've been in the court system. It's not easy. So I'm able to connect with them in that type of way, give them those three truths, and then we're able to build off of those.
yeah. What would you say over time, like parents like me who, like my son is 5, and I have other parents that ask the same thing. What is my child's life going to look like through elementary, through because now you've been through elementary, middle, and now high school. So what advice do you have for parents that's kind of like in the beginning phases and they're wondering like what is that gonna look like for my child? And what do I need to know on this journey as he get older?
So there's two examples of that, and I speak about them and I present about them. I put them in my presentations. The first example is the white picket fence conundrum, right? When you're growing up, 80s baby, even now, they tell you, hey, the American dream is a big house, white picket fence, nice car, beautiful family, got plenty of money, right?
Mm,
That's the white picket fence for some people. What your white picket fence might be is a high rise apartment, downtown, 2 bedroom, no grass. You have all the amenities. You have no car. You ride the bus everywhere because you're there. But I want you to start looking at the white picket fence for your child because what they see as the white picket fence might be a 1 bedroom efficiency with their support dog or support cat,
mm,
having a part-time job that they're able to make sufficient income for them in the future and be happy with the rest of their lives. There is a thing, there is a model that was introduced, facilitated communication. So if you heard of it, you know what it is. It was debunked because the actual facilitator was actually answering the questions and then saying that the autistic individual or the one with intellectual disabilities were answering it themselves. What I tell parents all the time is don't be a facilitated communicator. What you want to set the goals for your child, you're going to do with the services that you line up for them.
mm,
But the livelihood and the goals for their future, don't touch that.
yeah.
You talk and you communicate that with them when it's time. So I speak to my son Shane. I don't say, Shane, you know what? You got to be a lawyer. You got to be a doctor. You got to be this X, Y, and Z. No, I say, Shane, what do you want to do and why? And he talks to me and he tells me why. And I'll be like, do you think you can make a sufficient amount of money to basically provide for yourself doing that? Yes. Okay. Tell me, how does that look realistically? So it's not that I'm setting the stage like I'm being that communicator for him. I'm actually trying to help him facilitate what that outlook looks like in his mind,
Mm,
using his input and his ideas, saying, this is what I want to do with my future. Because as long as he's maintaining himself, if he gets married, he's able to maintain his family. I'm happy. I
mm,
done my job. There's nothing more that I can be. So I tell parents all the time, your white picket fence is not theirs. That's the first thing. And the second thing is don't be a facilitated communicator for your child. do what you're supposed to do now and able to support them to what they need to meet as far as educational, general understanding and knowledge, and then start to walk with them through life side by side to understand how they see what their future is and how you can offer suggestions to help them get to where their future is.
I love it. All of this. So yes, I'm gonna put this in the little description because we need that. Because I'm one of them parents that's, oh my gosh, we just started kindergarten and it's already been like the whole IEP thing, and it's just, oh my gosh. So definitely thank you for that. And wrapping up, I want to ask you a couple questions. One of them is, what do you do a lot in the world? So how do you take care of you? Like, how do you pour back into your own cup? What do you do for self-care?
I don't do a lot. I guess that's something I need to increase on. I go to the gym. I'm telling you, that's probably really it. Go to the gym, make sure I have time for family time, and that's it. I'm on a grind like no other. Like right now, I'm on such of a grind that people are coming back to me and they're like, "Hey, your ears must have been ringing because people that I don't even know were mentioning your name." And
Right.
that's just how I am. If I'm not in the forefront, I'm in the background making things happen. But I do realize that taking that break for yourself and your you time as a autism parent or special needs parent is very important. The thing that I love to do before actually having Shane was go to the gym. That was something I was big on. So I'm able to actually keep that momentum going. So that's something that I do. I welcome Shane to come into the gym with me too. So now he works out with me as well. But that has to be the one utmost thing that I do uh,
Mhm.
currently right now to like just give back to myself. And then spending family time, that's the second thing, making sure that's a priority. And that's really it. I'm just grinding. I'll go out with my boys and everything here and there, but it's really just those couple of things that I'm focused on.
Okay, and then what can listeners expect next from you? I know you said you got a couple events coming up. So
Yes.
what all can people expect from you like in the next 30, 60, 90 days?
I don't this train. I don't know. Whatever God plans for me, that's really what it is. I do things on the hope that it comes into fruition, and what I base it on is like, how can it help somebody else? Is this realistically going to help someone else? So I have an event that I've been planning for 3 years now. This is the seventh year is happening. It's happening next week. So I'm doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff right now. Just look out for me. Look out for my name. Look me up. I'm on LinkedIn too, and see what I got going on. It's just whatever falls in my lap, and I'm like, all right, you know what? We got the green light. Let's press gas. Let's go. No brakes. Let's go at this. Then I go. But sometimes it's just like me just falling back and seeing what other people are doing. The one thing that I'll say before we have to go is please, as an organization, a healthcare organization or a business, don't say you're out here doing stuff for the community and I don't see you, where
Mm,
people don't see you. We need receipts. We need proof of everything that you're doing out in the community. And sometimes that doesn't mean that the cameras need to be there. It just needs to be an impactful picture that maybe you're beside the director of a organization and you just went there for a visit, but you actually came outside of your office to say thank you for what you do in the community and I want to learn more about your program. That's impact. That's what I do. And right now, without me being cocky or vain, you cannot test me. You cannot top me. The reason being is because I do this from my heart. I don't do this just for a paycheck. I do this for my heart, for my son, and for individuals like him first. I just happen to get paid for it, and I'm blessed with that. So the day that you can top me with that, then I'll sit there and relinquish my throne. But until then, no, it's not going to happen.
And that and I like that you said that because I just went to a BCBA conference like a week or so ago, and it was like all these people there, all these autism professionals and stuff. And that's the first thing I did as a parent of a child with special needs. I'm looking like, man, I don't see none of the people that I was actually this actually provides services to my own kids,
Yeah.
not on the list, not in the group. Okay, so you just going to work and you getting your check and you going home and you.
Where was this at? Was this in Washington?
No, this was in Atlanta. So they had I did virtually. I did the one that was like I think it was like in Boston or somewhere up there in the
Yeah,
place.
because I was a part of a BCBA conference. We did this segment called King Talk, where it's myself and two other autism fathers. We were being interviewed one particular night. My interest is to hopefully be a guest speaker at some of these BCBA conferences, is because they need to know the expectations of actual parents. And the expectations are sometimes left unsaid because the parents don't even know what they feel like right now at the moment when their child is getting services. So I think the connection, if the provider and the parent can actually make that good connection, I think that will only strengthen the providers to excel in this particular area, but also bridge the connection. So I'll try to see if I could be a guest speaker down there at the next one.
Yeah, that one was the women in behavior analysis.
Okay.
I'll be going to a few. So I'm actually I'm opening we've already started actually ABA company.
Okay.
So just from my experience as a parent, and then it's under the same company, but
Yeah.
we're adding the ABA program, and it actually officially starts in October. But we already have clients. I'm already working with the clients. They are onboarding now, and I just hired my first BCBA in RBT. Yeah, but I think it's really important, like what you said, which is the people that I'm even hiring on to do these services are people that are out at these events, not because you know what I'm saying, not because you hear because your boss told you this, like people that they would have been doing this anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important, especially in this field, because you have to have a compassion for families and children on the spectrum. So yeah, so that's just my little side note, my little plug. So if you in Atlanta, we do got that coming. So, but yeah, I just want to say thank you so much just for taking time out of your busy day, because I know you got a lot going on. So thank you for being here. Did you have any last words that you want to say before we close out?
Thank you for the support. Thank you for having me here. Autism parents, remember a couple key things. You are loved, you are important, you are powerful. Those are the three things I want to leave you with. And if you really dive deep into those three things, you will realize that those three things don't even stop at the surface level, which are you. They actually go down to your children as well, too. Those are three things that you can actually pour into your children once you start to digest and understand those three things in your life. So keep that and see you on the flip side. Let's make it happen.
Thank you. And how can listeners stay connected with you?
Follow me, Instagram, The Ausome Show, TheAusome. I'm on Spotify as well, my podcast. I'm on Facebook, Awesomeness Incorporated, AusomenessInc. It's a lot. Facebook and Instagram as well. Or you can look me up on LinkedIn, Jamiel Owens, JamielOwens. All over. I try to be as all over as possible, but you can find me.
All right. Thank you to everyone who watched, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.